Good morning, everyone. I decided to do a slightly different video today in a different background, of course. I'm a little bit closer to the wall, so let's see if all this works. I wanted to do a little bit on aviation. I know we've heard a lot about it, and I've certainly done quite a few videos on the issue and kept you up on what the Department of Transportation is doing right now in terms of what's going to work, what regulations have they put in for this fiscal year, which is, requiring new airplanes to have bathrooms, accessible bathrooms, which will be incredible to see if it happens. So we'll see how this goes. But Pete Buttigieg wants us to be aware of the information that exists on the Department of Transportation webpage. So I'm going to read a little bit here and then I'll leave some links for you. I wanted to do this like in 2 videos probably, or maybe I'll join them. I don't know, but it'll be a longer video because we have the Department of Transportation, but we also have the rules and regulations from the airlines. So we have to consider both. I'm just going to move my microphone a little bit. They gave me a very short cord, which I don't know why. But anyway, I'm sure you can hear me. All right, so general travel tips for persons with disabilities, and this is coming directly from the Department of Transportation in the United States. In your country, in your province, in your region, you might have also a page that gives you indications of how to travel safe if you have a disability or you're in a wheelchair. So the one thing here, okay, arrange your travel ahead of time, which we already do. I'm sure all of you, if you are traveling for the first time, then this is something that you kind of want to get in the habit of if you're going to start to work with flying. So let me change the camera over here. It's a little bit too short. Okay. All right. As long as you can see me and hear me, it's all fair game. All right. So a wheelchair or other guided assistance to board the plane or connect to a flight. So this is, it's a good idea to call your airline in advance to arrange for, a wheelchair or guided assistance, a seating accommodation that meets your disability-related needs, and or the loading and stowing of an assistive device. Now, if you're going to check in any kind of assistant device, they can't charge you for that. So like if I check in which I've done before, my rollator, my walker, I have a special bag for it. So I just fold it up and put it in there once I'm at the airport, and then I check it in, and there's no charge for that. All right. Note, providing detailed information about the accommodation you need in advance. All will assist airline personnel providing those accommodations in a correct and timely manner. So we're already used to this, those of us who have flown before. So we do this like 72 hours or even a week ahead of time. So, all right. Advance notice required. Yes, absolutely. In certain cases, an airline can require the passenger to provide advance notice. They all do. I know they do. As a condition of traveling on the airline or receiving services associated with the passenger's disability. An airline may require that a passenger with disabilities provide the airline with up to 48 hours. And we do this already, those of us who fly. We already do this in a way that absolutely we do it more than 48 hours in advance. So these are the things that, if the passenger wishes to receive any of the following services, types, or equipment or accommodations. So here it goes. Here's the list. Hook up for a respirator to the aircraft electrical power supply, hazardous materials, packing for a wheelchair battery or other assistive device, medical oxygen, transportation for a power wheelchair on an aircraft with fewer than 60 seats, provision of an onboard wheelchair on an aircraft that does not have an accessible lavatory. Now, that sentence does not make sense to me. Listen to this. Provision of an onboard wheelchair on an aircraft that does not have an accessible lavatory. I have no idea what they're talking about. If you know, let me know. Accommodations for a group of 10 or more individuals with disability who make reservations and travel as a group. So that's really critical. When we have Paralympics or, a big event or camp, it's really important to let them know ahead of time. So accommodation for a passenger who must travel in a stretcher or carriage of an incubator. Whoa. Now that's truly more medical, more heavy duty medical. So that's more complicated. Special note, if a passenger does not meet the advance notice or check-in requirement, airlines must make a reasonable effort to provide the request service, but are not required to delay the flight in order to do so. So if your situation is gonna slow down things and make the flight late, they can't allow it because of the schedule at the airport. So they run on a tight schedule. So they're not obligated, but they should, so. All right. Be informed and prepared. Confirm your accessible needs. Check your flight status before arriving at the airport. Check into your flight and arrive at the airport as early as possible. Be alert to gate changes. Because airline personnel may not be familiar with your particular assistive device, consider providing written instructions. And this we do already. Those of us who use power wheelchairs, we do that already. So I hope you do anyway. Taking a picture of your device before the flight. So taking a picture to know what it looked like before they stowed it in the cargo bay. Airlines must have a priority space for at least one folding manual wheelchair on aircraft with 100 or more seats. You must request a pre-board the flight in order to have the opportunity to stow your wheelchair in the aircraft cabin. Now this is a problem because the stewardess, the people who serve us in the plane, they put all their luggage in there. So this is something that they have to talk about among the airline people, because I've heard that people ask for that accommodation and they don't have it. So because they put all their luggage in that space. Carry medicine or other assistive devices like syringes as a carry-on item. Passengers at times get separated unexpectedly from checked baggage. Bring photocopies of instructions about the assembly and disassembly of wheelchairs and other devices. If you encounter a problem, if you believe your rights under Air Carrier Access Act are being or have been violated, ask to speak with the Complaint Resolution Officer, CRO. A CRO is the airline's expert on disability accommodation issues. Airlines are required to make one available to you at no cost, in person, at the airport, or by telephone during the times they are operating. So this is basically what it says on the general travel tips for us. There is another page. Let me see. There's a whole page on accessibility on the DOT. So in 2022, they kind of started putting some pressure on airlines to make it more accessible. We already know that. We already did a video, and we know that they are requesting that new airlines have accessible bathrooms. That'll be interesting to see. And it seems like in the next 3 years, they're going to work on trying to get to have a spot for wheelchair users, especially those of us who have power wheelchairs. So there's a whole document here about that. So I won't go through that because it's long, but in the fiscal year of 2023, they began to work on, I'm not able to, there's a good page here on the priorities and the goals. So it has priority and has goals. I've read some of that, so I don't want to go through it again. But the accessibility issues from the DOT is being clear. So we already know that they're working on the bathroom issue. And they hope to have some resolution to being able, for us to be able to get on the plane without getting out of our wheelchairs. And they're hoping that that'll happen in the next 3 years, from what I read here. So hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later. And I think that Delta back in England has made some progress in that area, and I'm hoping that Delta is talking to the U.S. or the U.S. to Delta so that they can figure all this out sooner. Because we're already, making big sacrifices as it is, and we shouldn't have to, is my point. This should have been resolved a long time ago. Yeah, so they started the access and mobility back in 2019. So imagine all that time just yakking and talking about it. So my hope is that they'll start to move on this. So in the next section, I'm going to I'll bring up a couple of examples of the rules and regulations for an airlines. So you've already heard the recommendations from the DOT. Now we'll go to an airline or two and see what their regulations sound like. And hopefully they match up to the best of their ability to match up with the DOT. All right, I'll see you in the next one. All right, this is day 2, and I just had a lot of things happen yesterday, and I was pretty busy, so okay. Hello, everyone. This is a continuation of yesterday, because I had a lot of things that happened, and I wasn't able to get back to the video. So we're going to continue here with the airlines travel. Now, yesterday we did the Department of Transportation information about traveling with a disability. Today we're going to look at flying with a disability. So what you really want to do if you've never flown before or you've avoided it like I do, what you really need to do, every airlines has a little bit of different of rules and regulations, and they just lay it out a little bit different, but it's about the same. As the Department of Transportation stated, you need to give plenty of at least 48 hours of time for the airport to know about your needs. But I'm gonna back up a little bit here. When you're going to fly, you need to give more than 48 hours. That's my personal cautionary statement here. It's not written anywhere, so I usually give 72 hours or more when I get my air ticket, what I do is there's always a section now where you can put in, mobility impaired or hearing impaired. You can always put that in so that the staff knows, okay, we have a person here who's going to be in a wheelchair. She can't hear very well. So we will be aware when she shows up. So that's the staff at the airlines. Also, the ticket will notify the airport that, okay, this person is going to request a wheelchair as soon as they arrive. So we'll have a person ready to take her to her gate and through security. So if you do not have a disability, don't do any of this. Okay? We have some people who are doing this now because they want to get through security faster, because they want to get on the plane first. They're using wheelchairs or asking for a wheelchair when they don't need one. So the problem with that is that they are using personnel and they're using wheelchairs that they don't need. You want to leave those for those people who really need it. Anyway, getting back to the airlines. Yesterday we did DOT. Today we're doing 2 airlines. So when I am flying on a particular airlines, I go to their website and I type in the name of the airlines and I put in the word disability, and it will come up usually with their page. So first I'm going to look at Delta, and I'll leave these links down below. So this is just kind of like an exercise. So you want to look at the details of what Delta would prefer. This is what they're asking you. If, airport wheelchairs, then aisle chairs, and it goes through the explanations. And Delta has a good spread, a good sheet where it gives you details about what it would like from you when you go to the airport. So it explains, what an aisle chair is in the airport, what will happen, gives you a phone number, all that kind of stuff. So onboard wheelchairs, bringing your personal wheelchair or assistive device, so how that will work. So it really breaks it down. So at each moment, what needs to happen. So I won't read this to you. I'll just give you the link so you can take a look at how they're explaining things. The other one that I pulled up was American Airlines. And for some reason, their font is a little small and not quite black. It's kind of like a gray, so it's a little hard to read. So American Airlines, if you pick up this video, just know that you should, make the font a little bit bigger. I know that computers, we can make the font bigger, but you put it in kind of like a very light black. So you might want to change your font a little bit. All right, so accessible travel. So it has a page here. Request special assistance online. So it breaks it down, request wheelchair services. State if you're traveling with your own mobility device. Request individual assistance if you have hearing, vision, cognitive, or developmental disability. State if you're traveling with a service animal. Keep in mind, notice and approval is required at least 48 hours before your flight. So I would give them more notice, more time for that, maybe even 72 hours. So, and with your disability as well. What happens now, again, with any airline, when you are booking your ticket, there is a special section at the bottom of your ticket that asks if you have any disability, do you need any assistance? And it will give you either a checkbox or a little box for you to type something in. So you really want to put that directly on your ticket because that alerts the staff on the airline and the people at the airport. So it does 2 things for you. I don't think you need to call the airport necessarily. I think putting your disability in the ticket will cover that. So, and they usually have, wheelchairs available, but you want to be careful if it's the holidays. You really want to, put that ticket in early. So it talks about wheelchair assistance at the airport, hearing assistance, vision assistance, cognitive and developmental assistance. So it breaks it down. So special seating. So plan to travel with a safety. So basically, that's what needs to happen. That you just give the airport and the airlines plenty of time to help you out. So I don't think I've ever had any issues. I've just, alert them that if when they bring me down to the luggage area, to not just walk away until my family shows up. Because if they walk away and then, your family gets stuck in traffic or whatever, you're stuck in the wheelchair, which can be very painful. At least for me, it is. So, and then you're there by yourself. You can't pull your luggage out. It's just gets messy. So it's important for them to stay there and not leave you alone. All right. I just wanted to put that out to the world. If you're flying for the first time, I might also do, other types of transportation so that you have kind of an idea on how it works. There are certain methods of transportation that I'm not familiar with. I don't travel too much, but I will look for articles as always. And leave the links there so you can check it out and read it, look at the details, see if that will work for you. All right. Any questions, any experiences you want to post down below, feel free. I just wanted to share that because I think it's important that you hear this from a person who has flown quite a few times. I'll be flying again in April to Canada for a brief trip to visit my little brother, and other family members will be coming. So this will be interesting, flying to another country, which has very different rules and regulations. So I will probably bring all of you with me so that you can see how everything went. All right. Take care and see you in the next one.